bill. This bill is estimated to save, House Bill 65 will estimated to save 90 lives and up to 1,000 serious injuries each year. Right now we are 76th in using seat belts, average in the state of Missouri compared to the national average of 83%, which is not good. And plus there's some money involved in this one here that we could really help, of $16.2 million that will be, if we pass this bill, that would be coming to the MoDOT for transportation and safety and things like this. There are different ways of safety and education for our highways. And this is the last year for the bill. 2009 is the last year that we will receive this government money. There's also a chance of picking up an additional $3.8 million, which would make the total $20 million, if we pass this bill and get it signed by the governor by June 28th. Because what they're going to do is the states that don't pass it, their money will be put into a pot and deposited or divided up among those who do pass the bill. So we've got a chance of definitely 16.2, and we also have a chance of up to $20 million if we pass this. I feel this is a very good bill. I don't want to sit here and talk my own bill, but we got a lot of people want to talk about it. But I do want to tell a little bit about why this bill means so much to me, is because I used to feel the same way a lot of people that I've talked to here in the Capitol feel about it. I used to think too that it was infringing on my rights as a citizen to have to do things like this. And then my grandkids came along, and I would buckle them in the car, in the back seat, and I'd jump in the front seat, and they'd say, "Grandpa, put your seatbelt on." And I thought, now how am I going to make a good impression on them if I don't do it myself?
And as Representative Yates already pointed out, this is a personal rights issue. We understand that. The state addressed that public policy issue when it enacted a mandatory seatbelt law. So Missouri Employers Mutual, this is a safety issue for us. MEM is the largest single provider of workers' compensation in Missouri. We insure about 14,000 Missouri businesses. MEM was created by this legislature in 1993 to bring stability to the workers' compensation market, but more importantly, it was also created to bring safety to the workplace. In fact, our company's vision is safe, healthy, and injury-free workplaces. So Missouri Employers Mutual is a safety company, we believe, first and foremost. So we'd like to look at this from an economic perspective, and then what we see every day is the devastating impact on the personal lives, to be sure, through fatalities and serious injury. I can tell you from MEM's experience, almost half of all workplace fatalities are from automobile accidents. And many of those result from not wearing a seatbelt. I see the reports of our serious injuries and fatalities to the extent they occur every week, and I'm pleased to say we do not have serious injuries or fatalities each week. But many of those do describe people who are not wearing seatbelts, and as the doctor said, thrown from the vehicles, thrown around the vehicles, or through the windshields. The interesting part of this is that the average claim cost of a workplace death for last year, 2008, was $726,000 per death claim. Consider the direct and indirect cost and the economic impact on Missouri and on the employers of Missouri for the multiple deaths that occur. Now, with regard to serious injuries, and that was also addressed by both previous witnesses, above 25% of all serious injuries in the workplace are actually caused by automobile accidents. And the average cost for a serious injury, which we describe as lost time, but with serious medical and long-term disability, but the cost of that from an auto accident averages, or ranged really last year between $373,000 and $613,000. So I just think many of those deaths and those serious injuries could have been different had the occupants of the vehicles been wearing seatbelts. And for this reason, we speak in favor of House Bill 665, calling for the primary enforcement of the mandatory seatbelt law.
Question that was asked, and I think again it was by Representative Yates. He keeps referring to those states which have primary laws but have lower usage rates than the state of Missouri. I think what you have to remember is states like Kentucky and Mississippi, they passed their law in 2006, sir, and when they passed the law, their usage rate was in the 60s, the lower 60s. So what they are doing, they have a large increase in usage rate, but because they started so low, that their usage rate is increasing, but it has just not been able to catch up with the other states that have primary. Usually we see people in 3 to 4 years end up in those higher 80s or 90s. For example, the state of Illinois, they passed their law 3 years ago. They are now seeing fatality rates equal to 1923. So I'm just saying, sir, even though they are a primary state and they have lower usage rates, you have to remember where they started in usage, which was much lower. So they have to catch up, even though they're seeing increases of probably 10 to 15% in those states over the period of time. The other question that was mentioned, I often hear about data sources where we have our various data from, and I believe maybe Representative Yates, you also mentioned that, sir. I do have the figures on this page. I'd be happy to provide you, but the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, they do a study called the Estimate, Safety, and Economic Cost Impact of an 11 percentage point increase in belt use. And what they would be estimating is in the state of Missouri that our increased usage, and they were looking at 2005 usage rates, which again we were between that 75 and 77% usage. There would be 11% increase, and therefore, based on their calculations, the state of Missouri would save 90 lives and $231 million in what they call total cost savings. And those savings, sir, are things like medical care, emergency services, insurance, administrative costs, workplace costs, legal costs, and productivity that is lost due to the loss of the young people, which would never be able to become tax-paying citizens of our great state.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Trey Davis representing the Missouri Chamber of Commerce and Industry, want to go on record in support today.